So now that the finale of The Penguin has dropped, let's talk about it. Let me start by saying that it was exactly what I thought it was going to be. You know, good writing, good storytelling, the cinematography looked good. I put it in that same Batman universe. Now, I do still stand by my original critique of thinking it makes no sense not to have Batman show up throughout the series, not even a little bit. I understand it from the showrunner's perspective, you know, because Batman is the draw, right? So if you have him show up, all the attention, it's on him, you know, it distracts you from all the other characters. And the showrunners for this want you to be focused on Penguin. And, you know, there's Vic and Sophia, you know, the supporting characters, but it's their story. And so if you were to bring Batman in, I guess even just a little bit, the focus, you know, we don't care about them anymore. We're like, what's going on with him? But still, he needed to be there because supposedly he is there in Gotham and all this is taking place, and it is a lot going on, you know. Whenever Sophia delivered that SUV full of explosives and ended up blowing up Penguin's subterranean lair, and it showed it from the top, and it was like a whole city block just leveled, like a sinkhole sank down into the ground. And I was like, all right, there's no way this cannot get his attention. I mean, he has to show up now, right? So I was thinking that was what, the second to last episode. So I was thinking, okay, in number 8, he's gonna show up because he has to, right? No, he didn't. And it even showed, you know, the news there. This is Gotham City Live reporting, you know, and all the medics and the devastation. And he still didn't show up. I'm like, nah, there's no way. Sorry, no, I don't buy it. Not this guy. Anyway, I digress. Back to Oz. So the show, you know, and it did what they normally do with the villain stories. They humanize them, right? Because no one's 100% bad. You have to understand everybody has a motive, even if it's twisted, right? So you have to find out what makes him tick, why he's doing what he's doing. And the long and short of it is what you end up realizing at the end of the day. Oz is nothing but, as Stone Cold Steve Austin would say, nothing but a big old piece of trash.
Stupid piece of trash. It is a big piece of trash.
And that's good, because a lot of times what ends up happening in these stories where you're humanizing the villain, you begin to sympathize for him too much, you know? I guess not necessarily that that's a bad thing. It's good to have compassion and relate to, you know, put yourself in their shoes, relate to where someone's coming from, and realize what makes them do the things they do. However, it still needs to be a villain, right? At the end of the day, you still need to be like, hey, I may know why you did it, but what you did was wrong. And now you gotta pay. No. And over the course of the show, you find yourself doing that with Oz, you know? He's like taking care of his mother, who's kind of becoming senile or has dementia. And you hear about, you know, him losing his brothers, and, you know, his mom, from her perspective, losing her 2 sons. And Oz is the only son left. And then when he finds Vic, you know, Victor, and he kind of takes him under his wing, and there's almost this father-son bond that starts to develop between them. Because originally how he met Victor was trying to steal his rims right off his ride, and he could have killed him. I mean, he was, you know, when he was like turning around, he was gonna put a bullet in his head, but he ended up having mercy on him, right, and not killing him. But hindsight, you're thinking, oh, was it really mercy? Was it compassion? Or he was being selfish? He ended up using him this whole time. But anyway, back to the linear of it. When they were in that restaurant, you know, and the waiter finishes, you know, Victor is stuttering because he has a speech impediment, he has a stutter, and the waiter finishes his order for him. But Oswald is like, no, you know, let the man finish, let him speak for himself.
I'll do the steak of
Steak fried.
Hey, don't do that. The man was speaking. Let him finish.
I apologize.
And then he ends up telling Victor, don't let anybody diminish you, you know, because of your handicap. And it's a reflection of himself, because Oz has the bum leg, you know. So he's taking up for him, he's sticking up for him. Don't let anybody treat you less than. And you kind of, since Victor's family's gone now, kind of like Penguin is all he has, you know. Oz is all he has, and you kind of see. And so many times throughout the show, Victor is there for him, dude. Like, Victor shows up. Boom, he's loyal. It's like if Victor wouldn't have shown up for him, there's like, what, at least 4 times that Penguin would have been a goner, you know? But he was there, dude, when everybody else fell away. I mean, Victor was his boy. But what I think is also important that the show does, especially there towards the end as everything culminates, right? The crescendo. You realize that Oswald, he was the one that killed his younger brothers. He locked them in that sewer, you know, and it was raining and they drowned. And it was because he was so selfish and egotistical that he wanted all the attention from his mom, you know. She would pay them more attention, and kind of he would get looked over. And you're like, dude. And you even realize that relationship with his mom, you realize that she's known this whole time. She's known that Oz was responsible. You don't figure that out until, like, you know, towards the end. And you know, when Sophia and that therapist guy are using the red light therapy, they realize that the mom, and you realize as the audience, that the mom has known this whole time that Oz was responsible for the death of his 2 younger brothers, her other sons. You know, she's known that this whole time, but she like suppressed it, and she was even going to have him killed as the boy, you know, when it shows that flashback and they're at that dance hall place. She's going to let Rex, you know, that other mobster that Oz looked up to when he was a boy, they were kind of talking. He was like, hey, I'll take him for a ride, you know, which meant he was going to off him. But she ended up, I guess, deciding not to go that route. But she raised him with such resentment because she knew the whole time what a little monster he was, you know. And even his relationship with her is so selfish, because you realize that, I mean, this whole time he's saying, I did this all for you, Mom, you know, and he does, I guess, idolize her in a certain, there's definitely an unnatural relationship between them where he, you know, admires her too fondly. But even that is, you know, he claims to be doing it all for her, and some of that may be true, but it's selfishness, you know. It's not really what she wants, it's what he wants, or what he thinks they should have, right? And you see that at the end. Oh my goodness, at the end, when he's got her, she's like, she has the stroke, right? And she's in that hospital bed, can't move or speak, she's kind of like a vegetable. And he's got her looking out that circular window because he said, hey, you always wanted like a, you know, a high rise looking out over the city. And so he thinks he's, you know, doing that for her, but she's sitting there and you see this tear roll down the side of her eyes and she can't speak or anything. And he's like, I know, Mom, it's everything you ever wanted, right?
I know. It's everything you wanted.
That was tragic because, you know, she's miserable. It's not what she wanted. She actually had talked to him about putting her out of her misery if she ever got to a state like that. And she made him promise, and he was like, all right, I'll do it. So there again, he can't even follow through on that promise because he's a coward. But the important thing that the show did very well at the culmination, at the crescendo, when Oz puts his hand around Vic's shoulder, I was like, oh, here it comes, because I knew it. I knew Vic wasn't making this out of this alive. Oz strangles him. He's like, I can't take you with me this time, kid. And he kills him.
You been there? by my side every step. Listen, kid, I can't bring you with me this time.
And you know how that's always how the bad guys are doing it. They kill their own henchmen, you know, they eat their own. But what I like about that is it shows what happens when you hang out with that crowd, you know? Like the saying goes, there's no honor among thieves, right? And it shows that that lifestyle doesn't pay off. I mean, yeah, Vic had a couple chances to leave, you know, with that girl that he knew, you know, they were going to catch the bus and leave. And he almost met her, you know, but he didn't. And it's because Oz, you know, he showed him he was making bank, he was getting money, and Oz was appealing to his pride, you know, hey, you ain't never been nobody, you could be somebody, you know, and again, you realize all of it was, you thought he was mentoring him, but all of it was selfish. Oz was a manipulator, and he would only say things and do things as it benefited him. You know, that's why he would turncoat immediately on someone else, you know, when these plans fell through with this certain buyer of the drugs or whatever, you know, he would just flip the script so easily and just betray whoever. He's just not trustworthy, but that's good. You need to see that that's what kind of person this is, you know. And as it culminated in that last episode, you see Oz with the top hat, and he's got the, you know, the nice suit and the vest and everything on, and he looks more like the comic penguin that we all know. I'm glad that a lot of people were saying they wish they would have given him the monocle. I'm glad they didn't. I mean, that's kind of too dated or cheesy in my opinion. Also, I'm kind of glad that he didn't even wear the top hat. You know, he had it, that's enough. He carried it and hung it up with the jacket or whatever. I don't need to, you know, he's got it. I don't need to see him wearing it because it looks a little silly. And another thing I like is the comparison. You know, at the end you see you see Oz looking out the Gotham City skyline, and that's when you see finally the bat signal light up. Or maybe surely they've been lighting it up every night. And it's like, has he been coming? We don't know. I mean, I can't imagine what else he's been doing that's more important than what's been going on in this show. You know, people are saying, oh, he's helping rebuild the city and, you know, the flood damage and stuff. They leveled the city block, bro. Where are you? What are you doing? We need you here, looking into this. But you know, the symbolism of that, you have Oz looking out in his high rise now, looking out over the Gotham City skyline, and you see that the bat symbol up there in the sky. And you know that Oz started out in the streets, right? Street level crime in the gutters, but now he's at the top, and it's kind of like a symbolism, like he's on the level now of Batman. He's become that arch villain that we know as Penguin, right? Someone like a formidable foe now to face Batman. So we'll see. You know, and it's supposed to springboard right into the Batman Part 2, you know? It's only supposed to take place like a week after, which would put on the timeline Batman Part 2 in the winter. So I'm ready to see a snow-covered Gotham, right? And a Pattinson Batman covered in snow. Come on. You kidding me? Forget about it. Hey, forget about it. And is it going to be Christmas? Are we going to have another Christmas movie? You know, kind of like Die Hard? We'll see.